We were able to get some reaction from the Hill, from a few lawmakers. We put that together once the word came out. Our correspondents there on the Hill working to get direct reaction. Let's go ahead and play apparently what we have from Senators Kennedy and Senator Booker when they learned that Secretary Noem was out of a job.
Can we get your reaction to Senator Mullin being named DHS?
I didn't want to mention it before because it would have violated the confidence, but the president, when he called me Tuesday night, the night of the hearing, when he was mad as a murder hornet, he asked me what I thought about Markwayne, and I said, A, I like him. B, he's very smart. C, he's a very good businessman.
Look, I've known Markwayne now for a good amount of time. It is not about the head of this agency. It is about what the agency is doing in our communities. And obviously there'll be hearings, and I think a lot of this should be brought out. But we have an agency that is out of control, and what they're doing in our communities, what they're doing to the Constitution, their reckless, continuous violation of court orders, even Republican-appointed judges, they are routinely violating those court orders. That makes this whole agency, to me, morally bankrupt.
And what Senator Booker is referring there is that DHS has been partially shut down because Democrats like Booker there have been pushing to withhold funding from DHS unless it started to reform its tactics used by immigration agencies. Some DHS employees, including those in the Transportation Security Administration, the TSA, had been receiving partial paychecks or had been working without pay. So this has been an ongoing problem within DHS and a battle among lawmakers as we now wait to see what happens with that confirmation hearing set for the end of March, according to the president. Could be pushed a little longer, while Kristi Noem remains as DHS secretary, soon to be replaced and moved to another position. Our Jay O'Brien is up on the Hill. Jay, we saw the reactions from Senator Kennedy, who apparently likes Markwayne Mullin, the senator that the president has tapped to replace DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. We heard Senator Booker as well respond to what he feels DHS has become a morally bankrupt organization. What are you hearing there on the Hill from other lawmakers? What are your sources telling you? Bring us up to date.
Before we get into that, Kira, we just heard from Senator Markwayne Mullin, who just spoke to reporters right here as he ran up the steps of the Capitol. There are some reporters, you can see some of them over my shoulder, waiting for him to return. He didn't take many questions, but he indicated that he's got a lot more conversations to have with President Trump before he sets his full agenda as someone who would be put forward to lead DHS. But more importantly, he was asked, when did you find out that you were going to get this job, that the president was going to tap you to be the Secretary of Homeland Security? And he said, quote, I found out a little before you guys did. And then he ran into the Senate. And again, we're waiting for him to return if he's going to take more questions. To your point about some of those lawmaker reactions, the most notable one in there is Senator John Kennedy, Republican senator of Louisiana, because he engaged in some tough questioning against Noem when she was up here earlier this week for a hearing before his committee. And he asked her specifically about the more than $200 million of ads that DHS spent, and those ads starring Secretary Noem. And Kennedy said, first, he viewed that as an overspend. He viewed that as a misuse of government resources. And he accused the secretary of using those ads to try to elevate her profile. And what Kennedy just said to reporters moments ago is that he gave the White House a heads up that he was going to have some tough questions for the secretary, particularly about those ads. And he said he spoke to President Trump after that hearing, and he said the president was, quote, mad as a murder hornet about how the secretary had answered his questions. I asked Senator Kennedy, did you get a sense then that the president was going to oust Noem? He said you'd have to ask the president that question, but all of it to say it's very clear that those 2 days of marathon hearings up here on the Hill in both the Senate and then later the House yesterday were a turning point for Secretary Noem, Kira.